Hi, everyone. Let's have a great week. We have the FOMC, we have the BOJ, so a week full of central bank action. How's everyone doing today? Let's take a quick look at the charts. Focus on the yen into the BOJ. We've had our second drive to a top, looking for one more to take us to the 22 level, another 100 pips, maybe into the BOJ. Euro pound's getting close, but no cigar yet. Still think that we have some more left on the downside here in euro pound. Alien had something at 71.40. I still think we're going to take it under 71. Inside day, still doing nothing right. And the pound's holding where it is supposed to at the halfway mark. Still could go 61.8. Let's go to work, Larians. Good morning, Doji. Hello, Mitch, Jax, John 573, David MRC. I see a new handle. Sakib. Hello, Sakib. How are you? Everyone, welcome Sakib to our community. How do you spell it? Welcome, Sabib. Hi, Aileen. How are you? Khalid, how are you? So I'm thinking one more push up in the yen. Mitch, welcome to our community. Everyone welcome Mitch. Mitch is a new handle. We'll see if Clever shows up. Maybe interviewing Clever in about 15 minutes. Let's see if he shows up first. Everyone give Mitch and Sakib a LAR welcome. Tico, how are you? So with all this dollar strength, the pound is pulled back to the 50% retrace of this move right here. Still, to me, looks like it has potentially some upside here. Starting to look a little bit like an ascending triangle with your resistance line right here. See what this looks like. Yeah, starting to get the look of an ascending triangle here. So we have to hold this 53 handle for it to be in force. That could take it up. Yeah, it looks like we have another push up in Canada. This did not look like a top to me. We never even really got to the 61.8, was 32.18. And you were talking about 76 back would take it to 33 USD CAD. I agree with you. When is the BOJ? Wednesday? How are you, Doji? MRC, how are you? Fab, how are you, buddy? Euro still looks weak to me. Approaching a long-term trend line. I think it's the daily or the weekly. I think it's the weekly. Yeah. Weekly uptrend line right here. Ricardo was calling this a flag, a bear flag, where we could get a breakdown. So far, aliens possible alternative count in the dollar could be happening here. And we'll need to get back under 96.20 to confirm it back under Friday's low of 96.20. Okay, good, Doji. So this is going to be a key area on pullbacks, 96.20. I think we have to take it out for the bear case to be confirmed. We need to take out 96.20. That's my view on the Dixie. Here's a look from Alien. Okay, this is Canada going to 76 back, 13310. Okay. So I have it, yeah, right around the 78.6 level. I like it. Everyone thank Alien for his 1 hour look on USD CAD. Nice look, man. Everyone thank Alien. So if you're new to our community, this is how we collaborate through the use of charts vis-a-vis screenshots. Hi, Ali, how are you? I think initially rallies to 11.5 will be repelled if we go there first in Euro. Hi, Clever. Well, I'm looking to short Aussie yen higher. So I was hoping for one more push up in Aussie. I'd like to see us hold breaks at 230 and challenge this high again. Let's see what you have. Hi, Clever. The link to Hangout, Adinda will send to you in a few minutes. That's what I'm looking for. 75.5, 76 would be a good sell zone and would take the Aussie yen into my area to short. It's a nice look. Thank you for that chart, Doji. Hi, Jax. Everyone thank Doji for that look in Aussie. Looking for 75.5 or so. Nice look, Doji. Okay. You'll be getting the link to Hangout in a few minutes from Adinda. 2100. $21.20. Okay. Or right here. Thank you, Clever. Thank you, everyone. Thank Clever for his look on the S&P. Should lead to good shorts in the yen crosses. You got it? Okay. So everyone stand by for Clever. He's going to talk to us about his journey in the market and what he does. So you're looking for 56 in it, 585. Okay, above these highs. Thank you, Ali. It looks like that could happen. I don't like these flat tops. I think we're going to blow through this flat top here. Thank you, Ali. So everyone stand by for Clever. In about 5 minutes, we're going to have a Larian interview. Later on, I have a cloud chartist with us. Melissa will be with us. Melissa is a cloud chartist. So I say, get your head in the clouds with Melissa later. Hi, Pegasus. Hi, Fame. David FX, welcome. I think it's because of your time changes. I'm starting at the same time. Everyone doing all right? Hard to tell. Oh yeah, I hope your hand. Welcome, Ziggy. Thank you for the tweet. Is this a crude oil? Okay. Yeah, better hold here. Thank you, veteran. Everyone thank veteran for his look on crude. 10 minutes. Okay, whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. Everyone okay? Any other ideas in the community? Any other ideas to share via screenshots before Clever? MRC, how are you? Goldie's back. Hello, Goldie. Hi, Jax. Hello, Pegasus. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning on looking for the yen short. When's the BOJ? And is the Fed Wednesday or Thursday? I think it's Wednesday. A Tuesday, Wednesday meeting. Anyone know for sure? If you watched Yohei, you'd know for sure. Yeah, so don't type, Zig. Just hang out. Everyone doing okay? So we're just waiting for Clever in another 5 minutes or so. What are you stalking, Peg? How about you, Khalid? Goldie? Sakib? Wednesday's BOJ? And Fed? Both? Both? Thank you. Also, Norm Winsky, Friday's the BOJ? Okay. Norm Winsky had some turning points, I believe the 28th. Some astronomical stuff, I think the 27th, 28th. Okay, thank you, Alien. You're short, Guppy, already? All right. We did diverge up here. We take 82.5 out, it should break. Like a descending triangle developing. Okay, Clever is ready. So just click the link, Cleb, and we'll talk. Jax is looking for a buy in Euro Yen here. Thank you, Jax. A little third drive here. I'm sure we're diverging. Everyone thank Jax for his Euro Yen look. Can be pushed to under 50. It's already under 50. You mean push up to 50? Okay, Clever, all you have to do is click the link and come into the Hangout. Waiting for you. Still waiting for you. You're looking for new highs? I'm figuring just above these highs at the 61.8 level. Thank you, veteran. So, Clever, do you have the link? There we go. How are you, Clever? Can you hear me?
I'm good. How are you, Dan?
I'm fine. Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you cut your teeth on a trading floor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like even before you got to the floor? How did you end up going to the floor?
I'm having a little bit of difficulty. I think you're overlapping.
Okay, maybe you need to turn the volume down in the trading room. Mute that volume and.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me without an echo now?
Yeah, I have a little bit of an echo.
All right. Yeah, sometimes if you're in the chat room and the volume's on there, you'll get an echo.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, you're good. So how did you end up on the floor in Brazil trading Bovespa?
Let me give you a picture, a broad picture of my journey.
Okay.
Yes. You're 17 years old. You're in high school. Um,
Go ahead.
well, I used to read newspapers in Brazil. You know, Sunday news.
Yeah, you're fading in and out.
I'm close to 10 now.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
can
there's
hear you.
you're breaking up at times, but go ahead. You had an interest in
Yeah.
the markets, looking at the
I still
Sunday
hear.
finance.
It's very static. I don't hear you, and it's overlapping my voice.
Okay. I don't know what to say. Can you hear me clearly now?
I cannot.
Okay. Maybe it's your
So
headset.
okay, let me give you a picture. You're 17. You're off high school. You graduated early, and well, I had a friend that was at the time working on the floor. So he convinced me. He said,
Go
I don't
ahead.
know.
Go ahead. We're listening to your story. Go ahead.
And I'm hearing back what I said. It's
That's a problem on your end, Clever. Why don't you try without your headset?
should I log out and get back in?
To try that
Okay, let me do that.
without your headset this time. Try it without your headset. I think that might be the issue.
I'm working on the floor. So he convinced me. He said, hello?
Hello. I can hear you.
I'm still listening to what I said.
Okay, well, I tell you what. Why don't we just do this
Yeah,
another day?
I plug in a speaker.
You want to try it another day, and we'll do a test prior to doing this?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So to this friend of mine, how do I get on the floor? Because I used to live far from the exchange. I used to live like 100 miles from the exchange. So for me, it was kind of unfeasible being in high school to go to the floor and actually get it done. This guy that I knew used to live near me, and he commuted back and forth every day. So talking to him, I had aspirations about, business school, etc. So he said, Kleber, I work in Bovespa, so if you want to get a piece of action, all you got to do is, well, that would be the equivalent of the Series 7. Hello?
Yeah, I still think it's because you have the volume on in the chat room. Why don't you leave the chat room for a while during this interview? Close your chat.
Close my chat.
Yeah, try that. Not on the Hangout, but in the room.
What about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So the equivalency of the Series 7 in Brazil, it's like a New York Institute of Finance. You go get a license, so you're able, you have a broker license. In Brazil back in the 90s, so all you had to do is go to that facility, get a license, which at the time you had to be 18 years old. I was 17 change, so they gave me a test for me to qualify for the course, which is an intensive course of almost 45 days. So you have writing skills.
Stuff you'll never use again.
I'm sorry?
Stuff you'll never use again once you pass the test.
Exactly. So once I got this over with, I passed. I think I had like 78% accuracy on the floor because I had to do a floor execution orders. I had 78%. I sucked actually. But the theory was pretty good. I had like 92%. So I passed with flying colors. I got my license. I talked to this friend of mine. He said, so, now you're ready to go to floor. I came to him and I asked him, what do I have to do? Because it's always who do you know in the market. It's always you have to know somebody. You can't knock on the door and say I want to work here. They don't give you that much. I think even here in the United States, it's pretty selective. It's pretty cohesive. There's some sort of knowing somebody who knows somebody to get access to this kind of a facility. To get in the floor.
Let me ask you this: is the Bovespa floor still filled up with locals? Because
no, actually, Brazil went.
The U.S. exchanges are they're kind of like ghost towns now.
I'm sorry?
The U.S. exchange floors are kind of like ghost towns now.
Yeah, everything went automatic. Actually, what happened in Brazil was the Bovespa and the BMF, which is the mercantile exchange, they joint venture. They both closed the floors after I left Brazil, actually. And so they acquired a partnership on Chicago market. So they have 5%. And Chicago Merc, in a swap operation, they acquire 5% of their exchange. So they went from being a non-profit to a profit organization, like CME. Let me give you a picture. Being on the floor, it's at the time, the requirements for me to get on the floor was $20,000. I used to work with my father, saving money since I was 15. I had a couple of $1,000s in change. Not only my dad had paid for my course, but he paid for my education, to get a license because he knew I was sharp. But he gave me the lump sum difference, so I could be an independent trader. So for me, it was, I had a little bit of a thrust.
Yeah, you had a leg up on guys whose family could not back them.
Yeah. You what happened in Brazil? Remember, Brazil's cost of life is very expensive. It's not as here. Like the minimum wage is $800 a month. So even now, back in the day, the market capitalization for Brazil wasn't as close as it is today. When I left Brazil, Brazil grew in a population of 3 million people a year. Over the period of 10 years, 30 million people, economy boom from the right to the left. But inflation, it was soaring in Brazil 40% a day sometimes. So roughly you had 100-something companies in Brazil. Now you have a 300 or 400 companies listed on the Bovespa. But the market cap is like less than $4 trillion. It's almost a fourth of what it is in the United States. Here we have a $14 trillion capitalization. It's grotesque, the difference between here in Brazil. The transparency, with the investors, have the 10K statements somewhat. You have to create a market so investors can be comfortable putting money in equities. So everything, it's all like a black box per se. We're savers. We still save money, but it's the participation of individuals in the capital markets. It's some sort of it's alien style. Like you have to be in it. Like if you don't, you have to go through a learning curve, which is hard. So at the time when I got on the floor, I had no experience. So this guy got me my number, and I go over there. But at the time, you had less than 500 people trading. So like Chicago market back in the heydays, they had 10,000 traders, on the S&Ps, and they have different derivatives that you could trade. The euro dollar, the gold, the silver pits. In Brazil, all you had in this great marketplace, which was the center of all the action, was the Bovespa. And the Bovespa, you had this selected club of members. So you had most of the guys were brokers, fillers. Like got an order on the phone from your table broker who had an order and passed for the broker, and the broker executed. And you had gutsy guys making a living trading every day. So here's what I'm trying to give you guys a picture of what it was back in the day. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you have a political upheaval, okay? So it was easy to short any pop. So I learned through this friend of mine that every day you write calls, right? You find blue chip, bellwether companies with a high beta, and that was at the time that was one or two companies, and around these companies you had 200 traders. So it was easy to get in the market, simulate the price action, and wait for the pop. And every time you had a pop, you went and you rolled calls. Remember, you didn't have strangles or straddles or strips or straps. Over there, it was purely not even puts. You couldn't even play with puts. So it was just simply the simplicity of the trading was buy calls or sell calls, or you had to hedge. So I learned to be a writer. This guy told me flat out. He said, "Listen, there's this thing about being a call buyer that you're gonna lose money all the time because even if you find call options with a delta of 50 or 65, every time the underlying stock moves, it's not gonna move as much as on the way down. So I try to always find good quality delta to trade. So I always trade in the money, and I always wrote calls, and it was easy to make money. There was no rocket science. So my campaign lasts about 2 years. This guy who actually put me in the floor, he was very conservative. He didn't have a lot of funds. I think he was pretty experienced in what he was doing, but was very competitive because the nature there was you had a lot of sellers and not a lot of buyers because at the time Brazil wasn't booming. So the chart, the Bovespa was from the left to the right in a downtrend, in a very topsy-turvy. So it was range bound, but the declines overcame the upward moves. So it was easy to be a seller. That's you had investors, good quality companies. Brazil, it's one of the greatest coffee exporters, chicken, OJ, natural resources, sugar cane. We are self-sufficient in terms of energy. We don't have to import $11 million barrels of crude every day to keep our economy going because we extract from the sugar cane. So, but the mentality there is somewhat different because all goes back to the 1500s, the colonization, the Spaniards and the Portuguese. Instead of colonizing the land and bringing, making the land richer, we kind of extract and sow. So it all goes back to that. That's why the United States is #1 in the world, even with all the problems and the intrinsic problems and the systemic risks on the capital markets. It's still this country is, it all goes back to the heritage.
There have been examples in the market, Clever, where options writing, you're right, historically it's a very successful strategy because of time decay and volatility popping and reverting to the mean. But every once in a while, option writers got caught.
Oh, absolutely, okay. Absolutely.
All right, so how did you manage risk when you were in that mindset of writing calls all the time and say there was a parabolic move in the market against you? What did you do?
Remember that Pitsoris the other day mentioned right in the head, and I used to trade that. Nobody taught me. When I started trading, I didn't lose much. To be honest with you, a lot of people have to lose money in order to learn. I was lucky because here's what I did. I followed the leaders. There was like 5 or 6 independent traders in the floor, and the hearsay was these guys used to be really well off. So every time they came, they analyzed the human psychology, right? The gullible trades. That you don't go for the gullible trades. You don't chase price. Back in the day, you chase the price. You had 20 contracts, $1 slide. You were down. Like half of your money was gone. So in your dribbling, your expiration, you didn't have weeklies or anything like that. If you short Brazil after left, if you short Brazil after 99, 2000, you lost your pants. So you have to understand that the trend is your friend. You know, the other day I saw an interview. The guy said, "Don't fight the Fed." I beg to differ. I completely disagree with that. If you're not uptrend and you try every time it diverge from the downtrend, you short it. Okay, you know, but it's easier to buy the dips other than sell extension points. So all goes back to the fact that if the trend goes from the left to the right in an upward move, and you have a nice solid downtrend, even with the high probable interest points that you're gonna sell and you're gonna buy every day in an intraday, okay. But over the long term, if you short an uptrend, you're gonna keep shorting, you're gonna keep losing money. So people have to be careful about saying don't fight the Fed or fight the Fed. You don't have to fight the Fed because fundamentals ultimately drive currencies, and you know, that's the tail that wags the dog. So you have to understand. The only reason I made a living every day in Brazil was because political scenario in Brazil was very volatile, and it offered you the opportunity to capitalize on the downside more than it did if you bought the dips. So you just had to wait for the pop every day. Something good came up, but then something bad came up. Therefore, the ability to make the scalp. So scalpers made a lot of money in Brazil. But then the sentiment changes over time. The interest rates, now, just take a look at it. Let me show you, without dissecting too much from the subject, because I hate talking about me. I think it's idiotic. You have to be shrewd about your decisions and how you pass your message. I'm not a media guy, man. I'm sorry about, you know, I hate talking about, the past is the past. Here's what happened.
So, do you know how to screen share?
Yeah, no, actually I don't.
Okay, so go to the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see a green box with an arrow. Put your cursor, then click the screen share, and then click the desktop you want to show. There'll be different boxes come up, and then click Start, and we'll see your desktop. There we go. All right, so you've shared this with us before. This is like your spreadsheet of key numbers. Okay,
let me explain what that is without being. Okay, this is a cloud. Okay, here's what I use. I use it in Forex or in any instruments. As you can see, I have. You see the screen now, right? Can I take the speaker out of my? Okay.
We got it.
This is what I call Magnus. Magnus is in honor to the famous prodigy chess player. I built this spreadsheet from the ground up. Okay. Here's what happens. This guy, this trader, this big shot trader, he got to me one day. You know, he said, "Clever, you're doing great now. Let me optimize your transactions here. Let me give you a tale of the tape what I do here." Because I look it up to the guy. You know, he said, I'm gonna teach you once. If you learn this today, you're not gonna need me anymore. You're just gonna use it for your own good, and you're always gonna have tight stops. Not very tight stops because you're gonna get stopped out all the time. But you're gonna use this as a benchmark for your trades. It's gonna be an auxiliary tool so you can maximize your profits. And he explained to me about the Fibonacci ratio, blah blah blah. I knew that because I read some books. And I say, everything looks good in theory, but try to apply that in real life, okay? A lot of guys, they're good in books. You know, when they go, they trade, they lose, and they don't ever come back. It's how can you keep for the ninth race? So he gave me the formula, okay? Here's the Fibonacci. You have the extensions and the retracement points, and you use it every day. Pete Soares the other day explained that when price come back to the range-bound zone, when the run deals are off and they retrace to a normal level, the normalization level that you can trade, you can utilize Fibonacci, right? If you sold an extension, you're gonna look to see what kind of retracement you're gonna have. So these are the moves that you're gonna try. If you're short, you're looking for an exit, and if you're long, you're looking for an extension. That's, everybody knows that. So this guy gave me, this trader, you know, kept trading for years in the 80s, and you know, this mathematician, it trailed the Fibonacci. So it trails, it gives you entry points, it coincides, it overlaps the Fibonacci. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, it's not Fibonacci, it's something that you're gonna use in conjunction with Fibonacci. And I challenge anybody to put this in motion and show me that doesn't work, because it worked for me. So here's what I have. One day I was in the United States. You know, every day I had to manually input the amounts, right? For example, if I was trading, let's say, let's give it an S&P 500, right? So every day opens up at 9:30, at 4 o'clock the market closed. All I needed was the highest and lowest in the closing price, right? And it has attributions on this because it's based on instruments on intrinsic volatility for the day. For example, last Friday, the range for the S&P was 1605. That was the range, the highest and the lowest. So here's what I came up. One day I open up a computer and say, I want to automatize that. I want to bring that to the next level. I want to have a cloud. I want to have like a rogue trader map. I want to have a cloud in my mind, because as traders, you have to have the ability to have views in your mind. Like, you have to have your cloud. You always have benchmark numbers in your cloud, right? As we speak right now, probably you have a 1775 in the S&Ps. You know, I'm with you on that. You know, probably have a 2100s on your mind. So when that flash, you already know what to do with that information. No matter fundamentals or chart, no matter, you can draw anything for your convenience on chart, but because that's what you want to see. But numbers don't lie, because it's based on the instruments on volatility. You can refute that. So basically, I have what I trade. You know, the majors. I have euro dollar, the cable. I have QE. I have correlation currencies. I have, against the QE, I have pound New Zealand. If you take a look at these two pairs, they trade in an inverse way. And when the QE is going up, pound QE is going down. And then you have Euro New Zealand, and I have Aussie, I have Euro Aussie, I have Euro CAD, I have commodity currencies also. I love to trade this, and I have US CAD, and I have New Zealand CAD, and I have a US against Norwegian Crowe, which is very volatile. I love to trade the currency because bank manipulation occurs in that currency. Like Piotr said the other day, time is everything. Watching the tape, watching the price action. What I do, I try to identify the top. I only trade extremes, like 89 RSI and 25 and 29. If you get caught up in between, if you're short and it goes up, if you chase price, you're going to lose money. And you're using the wrong leverage in this market. That's a message. When I talk to my friends, I don't have a lot of friends. Actually, I don't have any friends, but I know people that I talk on a daily basis. Did I ever lose money in Forex? Absolutely.
You have a few friends.
Because you have the leverage that the houses give you, and you have the leverage that you're utilizing. What do I mean by that? It's very simple. For example, let's just take $5,000. Okay, you have $5,000, and you operate. Let's do the math. Right.
Okay.
So let's say you have 100,000 lots. Right? One standard lot. You divide that by $5,000. What's your leverage? Do you know your leverage?
Do you?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I can never tell when you hear me or not, because let me just clear one thing up. You do have friends now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. I asked you. Do you know your leverage when you're trading at 100,000 lots in a $5,000 account?
Yes.
20 to 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it probably is going to cost you $4,000 to get in the trade, right? Let's say GOPI, right? GOPI against the yen, cable against the yen, right? So that would be unfeasible for anybody to trade 3 standard lots in a $5,000 account, right? You wouldn't be able to, because you got to put your margin requirements. So in the past, you know, anybody, you know, you have to learn how to utilize the leverage. Always under leverage your trades. Always know how much money you're putting on the table in order to participate. Let me go back to my. Can you hear? You see the screen?
Yeah, we're still seeing the same thing. You want to show charts now?
Yeah, I just want to. Okay, let me show you one chart.
All right, so you're going to probably have to go to screen share or move that
The screen
over
share
again. Why don't you turn off screen share and then use the desktop you want to show the chart on. Turn it off and then on again, and then click the box that has the chart.
Okay. So I stopped sharing this.
Okay. Now start sharing again. Now you're back on screen, so hit the screen share again, and then click on the box that has your chart. And you know you have friends now, right? You said you don't have any friends.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to sing Mr. Lonely to you. I'm lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. I've got nobody to call on the phone. Well, now you have a family, man.
Okay, let me go back to Magnus, because if I don't show you that, I'm not gonna be able to see two screens at a time.
All right.
So here's what I have. When I translate it to Excel, right? I have all the detail of the tape here. So I have the numbers they put. I drill that myself. I have the trend for each pair. I have my strategy for each pair. I have my broad strategy. For example, euro dollar downtrend. Every time it pops, sell rallies. Pound the cable, downtrend too. But I buy the dips. It works for me. I get close to a critical bank manipulation level. Buying the cable, it's easier to make money. It came all the way, and it's easy to make money. I like to buy cable. I like to get long cable. A pound New Zealand, it's an uptrend. Take a look at it. But I like to buy dips. Uptrend to buy dips. But there's sometimes it's in an uptrend, but I sell rallies. Like Euro New Zealand, it's a very volatile currency, somewhat difficult to understand. But like when you had the last mini crash, pound New Zealand went to 185. Never look back there. Bank manipulation at its best. You run, that day. If you cut the top, if you cut, the reverse candle, you're seeing it pretty now. It shed 2,200 pips already. So these attributions, remember, came from the trader. It's not mine. I only utilize this formula to increase my PL on my account, which worked. I'm not a millionaire, but it got me forward in life. It got me enough cushion to keep forward without being specific. So, okay, looking at, let's take a look at the euro. Let's go to the center of the melon. So euro, everyone wants to buy the euro now because they think the Fed's going to be standing pat next Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people called the euro trade. They said, buy the euro, So I was looking the other way, even though I didn't short it. I don't get along with euro dollar. I don't know why. So my algos, they show, let's say, so this is the first quadrant, which we're not looking at it today. We're going to look at the second quadrant, which, based on euro's own volatility last Friday, okay, 110.74 is 110.76 is your simple moving, your simple average for the euro. Okay, so the average price.
I saw a 107.80 number there, which is
I'll get to that.
Important number.
This is just an attribution. I'm going to get to the buys and the sells. I'm just giving a comparison for the comparison standpoint. 110.79. It closed at 110.18. So the closing price, right, was below its own average, price. So that means that it was projecting the down movements for today, right? But it's unbiased. It doesn't matter. You're going to trade either way. You're going to trade on the buy side. You're going to trade on the sell side. So I have my cloud. I have my 5 buys and my 5 sells. You're gonna use that. You're gonna have enough 6 cents to trade around hours, like between 2 and 5. Like Pete Sauer said, I like to trade at 3 o'clock because there's not a lot of liquidity and it can drive the price up. Yes, that's true. I agree with him in all sense. That's the time that you have bank manipulation. They fill orders. They want to prop the market so they can make a buck. Absolutely. It's there. Anybody can analyze and get to the same the common denominator. So I have 5 buys and 5 sells. Those are entry points, right? So just let's take a look at the euro. You see this 180.55, 108.55?
Yes.
That's one of I'm interested in acquire the euro right here. Why? So let's go back to the chart. I'm not looking at the sell points. I'm looking to buy. Okay. The reason why, because this trade can unwind. It can unwind very badly to the upside in a Fed day. You know that can go 300 pips against you. So if you short the euro, this is an intraday, by the way. I calculate it every day. The forex for the stocks, I calculate it after 4 o'clock. I get the high, the low, and the closing price, and I put my attributions. And Magnus gives me my 6 cents. It gives me my clouds. It gives me the tools that I want, so I can be ready. It's like a religious guy waiting for Armageddon every day. You know, I'm waiting for my prices so I can be comfortable. And once I'm comfortable with that, I look at the charts. And I never trade 5-minute charts. I'm always put 1 hour to 2 hours to see the broader moves, you know, so I can catch a manipulation. If you trade simply on 1 minute or 5 minutes, I used to do that in the past. Very ineffective. It's not going to the pit, analyzing the movement, because you can see who's buying, who's selling. Forex, you don't know that. Like Pete Sauer said the other day, man, I like this guy because he was straightforward. You know, he didn't throw a lot useless information. Like I see people throwing charts back and forth. It looks great, Dale, but that doesn't do it for you, man. Like you have to try on your own. You have to calculate your risk reward. If I don't see 3 to 1, if I don't see 3 times more chance to win in a trade, if I see as a trader, I say, okay, there's a chance that I'll make this is a 2 to 1 trade. I'm sorry. If you say, oh, there's a chance that he slides 3 and I make 2, what are you getting? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be more on the upside to make your money, other than just
you'll only take 3 to 1 RRs.
Well, you know, each his own. But I think if you consider the downside more than you consider the upside to make money in a trade, you shouldn't be in that trade. If you should ask the others for advice after you execute a trade, you shouldn't be on that trade. You know, if you're not comfortable to put your stops at 25 pips from the trade, like okay, let's go back, because like I told you, I cannot teach you guys everything that I know in 15 minutes. It's impossible. And I'm sorry, I don't have.
Why don't you go over a little bit? I'm interested in learning a little bit. I know you can't teach everything today, but what I like about your style is that you'll come in with thirds. You know, you'll buy a third, you'll short a third.
Absolutely.
You piece in and you piece out of trades. Can you explain that to our community?
Absolutely. Let's say you're not convinced enough about your trades. Okay, the reason why is very simple. If you're trading at 100,000 units, right? Every pip is $10. Let's talk about euro-dollar, right? So you buy there. Let me see a chart here. Let's talk about see this number 108.55. Let me go back and talk about that. Let me go back here. Stop sharing. And then I go here, and then I'm gonna euro dollar. Okay, so that's the weekly chart, right?
Yeah, got it.
So I'm gonna remove these. I'm going to remove these. 108.55, right? Let's just say. That. Remember, Magnus told me to buy at that level. You know, it's not like blindside. I'm not going to go ahead and put 300,000 units and buy the euro. No. You know, you're going to look at fundamentals. You're going to see what's up with the price movement, and then you're going to take a shot. That's work for intraday traders. I'm a scalper. You know, hardly I hold. I'm short up, you know, but hardly I do that because I'm waiting for the inflection points. Okay, it's a difference than being an intraday trader and waiting for big shift in sentiment. That's different. Okay, so what I thought, you know, 2074 and the S&Ps will be like a China wall. It ended up to be a breakaway, you know, gap. We're gonna have to see it, you know, if that's gonna validate. We're gonna have a retracement back to the normal range. But we're gonna drive 50 more points in the S&Ps.
What are you seeing at 108.55, 108.50?
Well, you know, look, I have to let me show you this chart first, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, now I see. It's just a pivot point.
You see this line?
Yeah.
That's what my buy point would be. That's exactly what Magnus, based on Magnus, you know, in an intraday. So let's bring it to the daily, to the 1 hour chart now. I'm right here. So I'm not in a rush to buy the euro dollar. You know, there's a confluence of factors that's gonna make the price go that way. That, you know, is a high probable point to get in the euro? I say yes. Remember the day when I took the shot at the CAD at 129.38?
Uh-huh.
You can. I was precise in that move because when it slid down, remember, and we were talking about that. It's not even a joke. I took a shot at it and I exited. I was very conservative in my trade. Remember, Pete Sauer said the other day, make 30 pips a day, make a list of everything that you want to accomplish and spend. I modify a little. I say, make a list of everything you want right now and spend it 25 years of your life getting little by little, piece by piece. Don't get greedy. Don't try to catch all the moves every day. Don't try to trade with Citibank guys. You know, these guys, they own 70% of the market. They will manipulate. They'll get your money. They will throw you down. So to be conservative, I'm right here. I want this point right here. When it falls right here, I'm gonna pull the trigger. If it's today, no problem. But tomorrow, based on the euro's range, we're gonna be talking the same level right here. So that's what I want to be. You can do this, look, and then you're gonna, let's just say the 1 hour chart. Okay.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the 1 hour chart. So these are Fibonacci retracements, okay? Right? So you can get short the euro again. You see what I'm saying? So for example, 618, there was a high probable interest right here, right? And then you got short here, right? 618, right here. So there was some sort of a movement right here, and the rejection came right over. And 1 hour chart, right? 111.16. So you had almost an engulfing pattern right here, and then you had a rejection, then it slid another 100 pips. But I'm looking out of this range right here. So I'm looking somewhat 100 pips from that level. I'm one away. So that's the point I want to get in. That's the 1 hour. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart. Let's take the 2 hour chart. Let me erase this line. And let's take a look at it. So I'm right here, and the 2618, the extension for your short is right here. So I'm somewhat between the 1618 and the 2618. I use that in confluence in conjunction with Fibonacci, with the 320, the 50, the 618. Let me show you the S&Ps, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Look, we could be here all day, and it still wouldn't be enough for me to put in the simple examples you just got to spend a day here with me and see what I do, so you can have an understanding. I don't trade 100 million lots. You know, I'm far from trading 10 standard lots, but I'm always under leveraging my money. If I have $200,000, I'm gonna put 10% of that. I'm gonna use 10% of my risk. The reason why I break my lots is to give myself, if my first lot is not complacent with my risk reward, the second, third is gonna be, or the third, and then I push through my trade. The reason why, like if let's say you have $10,000 and you want to put it to work, the risk management perception is you're gonna break down your investment. You're gonna assess your risk and you're gonna break down your entry, right? If you're wrong, it's gonna slide down. It's gonna create an average because you're not buying multiples of 100,000 lots. If you're buying 100,000 lots, 33,000 at a time, it gives you enough cushion so the price can go back to normality. If you're not, and then you can go average, even more. But I don't recommend. I say use large stops, don't use tight stops because you're gonna get stopped out all the time. If you put 5-6 pips stops every day, you're gonna lose money every day. You're not gonna make a buck. This machine is gonna take away your greenback. It's some mathematical certainty. I'm not just saying that. It's gonna happen. So
Yeah,
I'd say 25 pips.
Hard to be right for a day if you can't be wrong for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Look, the whole perception of this game, Dale. I don't watch TV, man. I don't care what the pundits are doing, what they're pounding on the table, because there's always a shyster ready to take your money. What I learned with my own experience in life, okay, training calls, writing calls, analyzing, seeing where the action was, because it's easy to understand when you have sellers, when you have buyers, when you have firm orders, and you can trade around that. You find entry points and you take a shot. But Forex is very broad. So yes, you have to go back to the fundamental analysis, and you have to take your best shot, right? But you don't know who's buying, who's selling. There's 10 banks there lined up to take your money. But you only if you convince yourself of something, right? You better be right, because if you're wrong, you're gonna keep pounding the table every day. So but I'm right about the trade. But the euro was good. I thought the euro was going to go to 114. Now it's 109 and change. Why did I make a mistake? I told people to buy the euro. Now it's sold. You try to convince yourself. That's where you're making a mistake. You gotta accept. You gotta accept it. Cut your losses. One thing that I learned about this: leverage trading is the evil. Is the mother of all speculation. Is the evil. If you don't manage leverage properly, you're gonna bury yourself in problems.
It'll manage you. Okay.
So pick your battles. Find a currency to trade. That's a message I want. I don't want to be too technical and draw butterflies and flags. I know all of that, But if sensing, knowing, having tools, taking an advantage, that's a message I want to pass you guys. Probably I didn't pass my message completely, but with time, I'll let you guys to understand that, trading the Fibonacci is great. Look, this is the Fibonacci. This is the S&Ps, right? You see the trend line? Beautiful. See right here, 38.2, okay? On 2014, a big whoosh down. You got bought, right? Because the trend line was from the left to the right. Everybody bought it. That's a QE, right? The injection, buying bonds. The Fed, was relentless. It didn't want you to sell this market. The difference about these capital markets and Brazilians, that they don't give a flying bean part about the capital markets. The Bovespa, 70,000 points, now 40-something thousand points. Petrobras, look, a month before Petrobras started getting into the bribery, all this, one of the greatest oil integrated companies. This guy goes on TV and says, "Oh, Petrobras was $74 a share." This guy says, "Buy Petrobras." Petrobras is trading at $5. You're living in a shack in underpass now. If you listen to that guy, But if you took a look at the indebtedness of Petrobras, they owe $100 billion in the books. They take a look at the books, you're going to see that $68 billion of that money, it's in dollars. They involved in bribery. You knew this company was in trouble because it's a national company. The government owns it. It's not like a free it's enterprise market. Out of the 400 companies listed on Bovespa today, I think 150 companies, I'm not mistaken, are national companies. So you don't, but they own companies because they're nationalists. They control companies, but they don't care if your capital market is down 20%. They don't care. They care here. The Fed is trying to harbor this market at all costs, and we're gonna have people who are chasing. Just listen to this now. People who are chasing this price action, the S&Ps, right? We try to catch a falling knife on the opposite side. They're trying to time the S&Ps, right? Because remember, 500 industrialized companies, the vast 500 companies. We're gonna keep losing. Like if you keep shorting S&Ps, you're short for a pop on the downside. You short for 20 points or 15 points. I know the fundamental problems, the systemic risk on this country is high. The bank, you don't know what's in the bank's books. Nobody knows, Dale. Even people who you interview every day, they try to put a lipstick on a pig and say, no, but the Fed got your back because they got a machine. They can print money every day. They're gonna keep pumping liquidity to this market like there's no tomorrow. And that's when, if everything is great, everything's great. You know what I'm saying? But if everything is bad, they're gonna make sure that it doesn't get any better. They're gonna keep pumping liquidity. And what's gonna translate to the capital markets? They want people to see the United States as the yardstick for the world, man. Okay, they want you to be confident that your 401k is not going to get lost. 2008 is not going to repeat itself. We're going to have mini flash. We're going to have 50 points in S&P. We're going to have corrections, but it's not going to be down drum. Not going to be the end of the world. Believe me, every dip on the S&P is going to be bought. Mark my words. We're going to retrace to the 53.302. Yes, we're going to 1823. Easy piece Japanese. We're going to go there. Okay, and a lot of people are going to look like genius. Take a look at this chart. You're going to see the trend line, October 2013, 12, all the way, bang, right here, 21, 23. Do I have that in my algos? Yes, let me show you. Sell points? Absolutely. So let me go back here.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it. I have another interview in 8 minutes, Clive.
Okay. So you want to wrap it up now?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to thank you for your efforts today.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
And you're a great addition to our community. Appreciate you being around and your giving and sharing spirit to share your work with everyone.
Yeah. Look, one thing that I tell people every day, man, buy insurance, right? So, look, I trade options. I don't only trade FX, right? FX is part of my, it's 1/10 of the money that I have. I put money to work every day. I have underlying companies that I buy. I have tenants that I use, like Warren Buffett-wise, So I know I look at the books. My dad was an accountant, okay? So I know how to see the company's indebtedness and see. I know how to look for a good quality companies. But always buy insurance. Right? Every day you'll be ready for something because if it happens, you have puts. So that's what I do every day. I don't go naked on my position. You always try to hedge. That's the message I want to pass on to people. Don't ask people for advice. Analyze, ask questions. Okay? Be your own judge, but know yourself. If you're the kind of guy who's stubborn, who you don't accept things for what they are. If you're trying to make it to your own perception. I say don't trade. Go to Las Vegas, put the coins in the jackpot. I know a friend that he lost his wife and all his money because he kept playing the jackpot machine, and he put all his money there. He ended up hitting rock bottom. Crazy, tragic story. He couldn't accept that he had an addiction. I say, be smart, be technical. Look at charts. Charts don't hurt, but remember, charts only tell you what happened. Right? You can say, oh, you're going to go to 160 again. Oh, yeah, sure. But what's your view? You have a trade in your hands? Have a trade, have a plan. Plan your risk reward accordingly. Set your stops, large stops. Don't ever trail the market because you're going to get stopped out all the time. 5,000 will become 1,000. And all of a sudden, you're going to be ended up with the dealing desk, the buck shops of the world because, that's what they do. They make off you. In the future, I wish I knew how to use that. that platform better, but I never use Google Hangouts, man. I don't, you know,
Okay,
I don't manage people's money. I'm not selling you guys anything here. I don't want anything from you guys. I don't have a website. I don't manage people's money. I manage my own money, which took me years to build that peanuts. That's what
well,
it is.
congratulations on your persistence and still being in the game and sharing your knowledge with
Absolutely,
us today, Clever.
absolutely.
And
Thank you.
look forward to having you. I'm going to begin this interview with Melissa in 5 minutes. If you can just hold on, Melissa, I need to take a quick break, and then we're going to get to you. And as I said on Twitter, get your head in the clouds with Melissa at Cloud Chartist. So stand by for Melissa in the next 5 minutes. Adinda, I'll be taking a quick break here, and then we're going to go right into our second interview. Thank you, Clever, again for your share, and thank you, everyone, for your attention. Stand by for Melissa at Cloud Chartist.
Top of the morning to you, Dale.
Thank you, Clev.
Stay on the game. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back.
Can you hear me, Dale?
Yes, is that you, Melissa?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for giving me a 1 minute break in between interviews. So,
oh, no problem.
All right, so why don't you tell me in our community how you got involved in the markets and what the journey was like for you at the beginning, and how you gravitated towards the Japanese style charting, which are the Ichimoku clouds.
Okay. I had been sort of trading, I would say, recreationally since the 80s. I did some trading in the .com days, and mostly based on my ability to be a trend spotter. I was working as an Apple consultant back in the early days of the early 90s, and I was able to, or I decided to buy some Apple stock at $10.50 a share.
Good decision.
At the time, no one was really interested in Apple stock, and most of my friends and relatives thought Apple was going out of business, and they didn't make enough business software or something like this. But I had faith, and I thought that it was going somewhere. So anyway, I went to art school. I went to the Rhode Island School of Design. Got an art degree. Sort of forgot about the markets for a while, and in the meantime, my Apple stock slowly and surely progressed. So at some point in 2007-ish, I had enough money in my stock account to have a day trading account, and I happened to be speaking with my my broker, and he said, you have enough money to be a day trader, to have day trade buying power. And I said, what is a day trader? I had no idea that, I had never considered buying and selling a stock on the same day. That it seems strange to me.
Well,
so
you know what his agenda. You may not have known at the time, but you know what his agenda was, right?
Yeah, he was like, haha, commission.
Yeah, there you go.
But so that happened. So I suddenly had a day trade account, and also in 2008 there was a death in my family, and I had this family trust situation that I had to deal with. It was a messy estate settlement involving a lot of different people, and I was in charge of it. And this was
Stressful, huh?
This was 2008, so
Yeah.
from the time that this relative passed away until, partway through trying to settle this trust situation, her accounts had been halved, and it was all, I couldn't manage them because they were all locked up because of the legal situation. But so finally, once the legal stuff was straightened out, I had to do some serious decision making as to what to do next. I couldn't just leave the investments intact as they were because there were legal fees to pay and whatnot. So, and various distributions to be made. So, I was in a situation where I had to figure out very quickly how to save this estate, basically. And
Wow.
I was
Really,
dealing with some
really under the gun. I mean, you're watching markets melt. You're dealing with relatives that want their share. What a tremendous amount of stress you were under during that time. How did you cope with it, and what gave you the inner strength to do this?
Gee, that is that is a continuing good question, because to make a long story short, I've been I went full time as a trader in that time period after that happened, and so I've been trading full time, and when I say full time, we're talking about real full time. I mean, I was working. I've toned it down a little bit, but I was working, 90, 100 hours a week for a while,
Wow.
and I haven't really taken very much time off in the last 6 years. But
So when you go on vacation, they're really not vacations, are they? Because you're. Go ahead.
I haven't really gone on a vacation. I went. I mean, I can't wait. So, I would like to go on a vacation. That sounds really good. I took a week off at some point, maybe 2.5 years ago. I think I took a week off.
You can't even remember.
It's true.
But
managing stress is key, and I can tell you from personal experience that I've also been over the last few years dealing with my mom being quite ill, and making a decent recovery. She's doing all right now, but she was real touch and go for quite a while there, so that was really stressful also. So I do yoga.
Okay.
Yoga has been a huge stress reliever, and also the one thing about trading that I didn't really think about as much as I didn't really think about that would have such a huge impact is the desk time is brutal. Having to sit at a desk you really need to do something to counteract that, or it becomes real obvious that it's not good for you.
Yeah, I just saw a tweet by someone today, Melissa, that said sitting at a desk is killing your kidneys. I have no idea why it would affect your kidneys that way, but yeah, sitting at a desk. There are people that, because of that and back issues, etc., work standing up. They get those desks where they're standing up and they work standing up. I sit at a desk, and yoga. I showed a video of a guy who was a paratrooper. His name's Arthur. I don't know if you ever saw it on my stream, but he became real overweight, and the doctors said he would never walk again, and some yoga instructor took him on, and he lost all this weight, and by the end of the video, you're seeing him run like a linebacker. And so that was a great testament to yoga.
I think I have seen that video. I don't know if I saw it on your stream, but I think I have seen that one for sure.
Never quit. Don't believe the doctors, and he never gave up, and he's not only walking but running like an NFL player now. So, so that's your stress reduction. Are you still attached to the screen, and is it your trading style? Perhaps you're like me. I have a hard time detaching from trades when I'm in them and turning off my platform. And the only way I've learned to overcome that is to perhaps put on trades from a shorter time frame, but manage them from a longer time frame, so I don't have to watch every wiggle and zig and zag.
That's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because part of my part of the Ichimoku strategy that I use, I really I discourage. I mean, I can't tell exactly what you mean by that, but I really discourage. Well, that's actually a better way to do it. I really discourage managing trades on different time frames from where you initiate the trade.
Okay.
But what you're telling me is that you take an entry based on a shorter time frame and then manage it on a longer time frame. As long as the longer time frame analysis is in alignment with your bias, that is cool.
Okay. That's a pearl. That's a pearl.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is a really bad idea to do is to enter a shorter time frame trade, and then if it goes against you, expand your time frame. You know, like it's gone beyond my 15-minute parameters. I'm gonna, I'll wait. I'll see what the hourly says, and I'll keep the trade on for a few hours, and then I'll see what the 4-hour chart says, and I'll keep the trade, and I'll just hold it overnight and hope that it comes back. You know, I mean,
Yeah, well, you know, the key is no matter what the
weeklies.
time frame is that you define the risk on the trade, no matter what time frame you're managing it on, right? So
Well,
the risk is predetermined on whatever time frame that you put the position on. Your stop is still there whether you manage it from a different time frame or not. So my problem was, and maybe you could help me with what still is a weakness in my trading, is because if I stay on the same time frame, I have a hard time riding my trades to objectives and targets, because I'll see an interim move developing and I'll go, well, you know, I'll just book it here and I'll buy the next pullback, or I'll just take my shorts here and sell the next rally. And then I turn my head and I get sidetracked and the market goes to target without me.
Well, I think you just answered your own question there. I mean, that is a temptation to do if you're sitting there watching price action,
Right.
to manage the trade. I mean, everybody does that. You know,
Yeah.
if you have, I mean, a lot of people have a work ethic that they feel like they need to, you know, be sitting in front of the screens from 9 to 5 or whatever their time frame is, and if they're not doing that, they're not working, and therefore, you know, they'll mess up their longer term time frame trades. I will say that I feel that the recent market conditions, say over the last since I don't know, maybe May. The market conditions have really dictated have changed my trading habits significantly. It's been so choppy all summer long.
So yeah, I've noticed when it's like this, Melissa, that guys that, you know, I facilitate a community, guys that normally use hourly charts, all of a sudden are showing me screenshots on 15-minute charts. That as the market became choppy, people began to draw down their time frames, looking for scalping opportunities rather than swing trades.
Yeah, and one of the strengths of my trading has always been that I've been good at staying in trades. A lot of times, other people will, you know, bail on a trade, and I'll just be able to stay in the trade because I know I have confidence in my longer term analysis. So say I take a trade in crude on the 4-hour time frame. as long as my 4-hour analysis is not invalidated in some way, I don't I don't necessarily need to get out, and I'm able to stay patient. But with the conditions being so choppy, all summer long, I've really had to dial down my own time frame. I mean, I find myself sometimes. I mean, I don't normally like to trade off the 5-minute chart, but I find myself looking at 5-minute charts lately, and even thinking about looking at 3-minute charts. But one thing specific to Ichimoku is, or maybe other analysis too, but Ichimoku works better on longer time frames. So the longer time frame analysis on Ichimoku is, I like to think of it as stronger.
Okay.
So if you have a weekly setup, that's going to be a lot more solid than a 5-minute or 15-minute setup. Mostly because those, the shorter the time frames, the more changeable they are. So.
Okay. So here we go. We have a lot of central bank action this week. I don't know what your philosophy is on holding positions into red events like the Fed or the Draghi or employment reports, but perhaps you could now tell us a little bit about how you use the clouds by showing some charts and some of your views and what your thinking is going into the Fed. You know how to do that? You uncomfortable with that?
With screen sharing my charts?
Yeah, showing your charts. Go to the screen share upper left-hand corner.
Right.
And then you
just see my static page right now that has
that's what I'm looking at, your static page, right?
The one thing I'm concerned about is I don't really want to share my account number, and that's at the top of my chart, so I'm not really sure how.
Okay,
how to...
so then we'll I guess we'll stay with psychology then, or perhaps perhaps you could at least talk about with your static shot. Talk a little bit about being a cloud chartist and
I could just I could take a I'll take a screenshot. Why don't I do that? Okay. I'll just take a quick screenshot because I actually have a crude trade on right now, so I can go over that real quickly.
That'd be great.
And bear with me for one moment, and I'll try not to. This is my first Google screen share. Yeah,
you're doing. That was a great idea. Very adaptable. I could tell you're a trader. So you adapted to keeping your anonymity, and we'll still be able to look at a chart here on crude.
It's just a technological thing. Like I know how to capture screens without having my account number showing, but I don't know how to do it with Google. So.
Okay.
Right, let's see.
And you have a service where you teach.
I do. I have a chat room,
okay.
And so I'm live in there.
U.S. hours.
I'm in there from like 8 a.m. until 4 in the afternoon. Thereabouts, U.S. hours, yeah. Let's see.
That's Eastern time? EST?
Yes.
Okay. That's a long day. Okay, here we go. I see your crude chart now. It's a 15-minute crude chart.
Okay, super. So this is, I just snapped this, so it's not moving. But,
right.
So basically, in this particular setup, this chart is bearish in Ichimoku terms because price action is under the cloud. In Ichimoku, the first thing that you look at is whether a price is over or under the cloud. So it's under the cloud, so it's bearish. But I did see the opportunity as we were, and I don't know how to make a cursor. I don't know if Google will let me make a cursor move around on my screen.
Well, you could point towards it.
Or not.
I think I saw your cursor go to the low that you had there at.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, it went there.
Is it? Can you see my cursor moving right now?
No.
Okay.
So are you long here?
I am long, yeah. So is my cursor? Can you see my
Yeah,
cursor
now I
now?
see it.
Super.
Yes,
All
it
right.
moved.
So yeah, I mean, I thought that we saw the RSI down here. RSI is one of the only other indicators that I use besides Ichimoku. So we saw the RSI go oversold here on the 15-minute chart, and
Right.
I thought it was a good time for a bounce. So myself and my chat room pals got long at 44 or thereabouts, and I think the low was like
And
40,
purely based upon an
90 something.
oversold reading on the RSI, was that the reason?
Yeah, an oversold reading on the RSI. Plus, we were quite extended below the Ichimoku cloud, and also the two. You see the two lines, the blue and the pink lines above here. The blue line is called the Tenkan Sen. When the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen go flat above price, they often indicate that price will move up towards them.
Okay.
So I thought it was a good risk reward to go for a bounce. And actually, right before I came on live with you, I put a bracket around the trade. So I currently have a stop, which is slightly. I'm going to manage this trade while I'm talking to you because I see that it's actually working quite well, and I want to move my stop up. But I put my stop on just a few ticks to lock in a few ticks of profit.
Okay. So you went from a risk trade to a break-even trade. No risk.
I like to, at this point in the way the market's been moving, and the way that there's so many algos in the market these days, like trying to get your stops. I like to get risk-free as soon as possible. So I like to get a profit stop on the trade ASAP because if my stop gets taken out, I'd rather be taken out for a few ticks profit, cover the commissions, and then rethink the trade rather than take a loss and then deal with the emotional setback of taking a loss and then rethinking the trade. So the way I manage short-term trades is I try to get a profit stop in. I try to have my limit order where I think that where price is going to go. And at this point, the chart has changed. Let me take another quick screenshot because I think it's key to see how the chart has changed, and it will be helpful. To teach people about Ichimoku, what's going on here, because my trade, basically, my trade might be invalidated in a second, or it might be over right now. So.
Thank you for a live example.
Bear with my, taking a sec for the technology to catch up.
You have a very calm demeanor.
Uh-huh.
Is that something that was inherent in your personality? Because just like real estate is location, location, location. Trading psychology, 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 and yeah, it looks like you have a nice little pop in the crude happening here. Were you did you have to overcome some psychological hurdles in learning how to trade?
Well, I think everybody does. Can you see my updated chart here?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. I think when I first started day trading, I was trading stocks, and then I moved into trading options. And I was fortunate to start trading like in 2009. Like anybody could make money in 2009. Like you could just throw money at anything and make money. So that was a really great time to start day trading, but also a bad time to start day trading because it was so easy that it was easy to think that you knew everything, Yeah. And a lot of people found out the hard way that.
So you could have been long anything at the bottom of the financial crisis in the spring of '09.
Exactly.
And the tide lifted all boats.
Exactly. So back to this crude trade. I'm gonna. So my stop was previously at 44.02. I'm going to move my stop up to, I don't want to get it too close to price action because I'm not even going to be, you know, my trading computer is a different computer from the one I'm talking to you on, so it's hard enough for me to manage two mouses. I'd rather.
So we got to one of the
what,
cloud, the blue line. What is it? The Taiken or Taken or?
It's the Tenkan. It's called the Tenkan-sen.
Okay,
So,
and the purple one is. So were your objectives on this bounce to this and possibly up to the purple line?
Yes. Previously,
Okay.
my objective was to this flat line right here, which was 44.39.
Yeah, almost.
This is actually a short setup that's happening right now on crude.
Right.
Because what's going on now is the Tenkan-sen, the blue line, is pointing downwards. And this is a classic short setup that I use all the time, and I'm just going to stay long and let myself get profit stopped out if that's what's going to happen. But
Okay.
and I'll show you, and I'll be able to tell you if the short setup is valid or not valid. So
well, I agree. Can I share why I agree? Because I do a lot of RSI work. Okay, so we'll make this kind of a give and take. The RSI that you bought on, to me, was a confirmed low. There was no divergence there, and I've learned that markets rarely bottom when they're confirming momentum is confirming price, and markets rarely top when momentum is confirming new highs. So, to me, this was good for a counter trend bounce, but there's no bottoming signal based upon what I've renamed the RSI to real simple implicator. And confirmed highs and lows imply that there's another one coming.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. So I just got stopped out at 44.22. So I made 22.
Congratulate Melissa on her live crude trade. Nice.
I hope my guys in my chat room managed it as well. So what happened is the Tenkan. I call this short setup the Tenkan Smackdown, and the reason for that is when we have an oversold bounce that encounters the Tenkan-sen, it either stops dead in its tracks and continues its downtrend, or it blasts through the Tenkan-sen and heads up towards the flat pink or purple line, whatever color it looks like on your screen, this line up here.
Right.
Okay. And so it doesn't look like the strength of the bounce is going to allow that to happen. And indeed, it's getting stopped in its tracks at 44.27, which is where the Tenkan-sen is located. So, I mean, it could still, the candle's not closed yet, so it's possible that it could still blast towards the flat line above.
That's something else that took me years to get, because a lot of people try and get the edge, but you never know what kind of candle you have till it closes, right, Melissa?
Right. Exactly.
You can anticipate a candle close, but you never know until it's done.
Exactly, and there's so much. There's a lot of overshooting in these markets. So we have a lot of wicks, and I don't really like wicks. Like I don't really think oftentimes that wicks really represent true price action. And like for instance, when I do use Fibonacci levels, I use fib retracements frequently in my trading, in my analysis, and I oftentimes do not use the wicks because I just feel like the wicks are oftentimes, and it could be particular to the things that I trade, like crude, for instance, but I think the wicks are oftentimes just algos running stops.
They
not everybody
floor
agrees with
traders.
me. You know, I mean, a lot of FX traders, and when I'm trading, when I'm doing forex analysis, oftentimes I do use the wicks because everybody uses the wicks in FX. It seems like. Well,
you want to go wickless, you use Renko. That's why a lot of people use Renko charts.
Right.
And I've never learned how, but they're wickless type charts, so it's all about the body. So do you, besides using Ichimoku, you concentrate on what type of candlestick formation you're getting at the same time? Or is it more about the cloud than the stick?
candlestick analysis is integral to Ichimoku trading. It's
Okay.
really important aspect of it, and you know, I read Steve Nison's a candlestick analysis book is, you know, one of my trading bibles for sure.
Yeah, that was, it must have been published over 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think I paid $100 for it or something, and it was worth every penny of it, you know.
Yeah, he was one of the first to bring it to the West and popularize it.
Yeah, so I mean, and I've been doing candlestick analysis for so long that I'm sure that it's intuitive at this point, and that's the same thing with Ichimoku is, and I tell my, you know, students this when I'm teaching them, is Ichimoku might look a little bit weird and it might look a little daunting to learn at first, and I think people are oftentimes put off by just the names of the elements, but because it's like a different language and people find that strange or something, but there's really only 5 different things that 5 different lines that are in Ichimoku, and really only, you know, there's the cloud, obviously, you know, we see the cloud, and there's the, you know, the pink line is the Kijun-sen, the blue line is the Tenkan-sen, and this red line over here to the left is called the Chikou span. And so really, once you know the names of those lines and you know what they do and how price interacts with them, that's it. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a
so
matter
it really,
of
yeah. So it's more challenging and complicated by perception than it really is. Can you explain that red line a little bit, because it's not near anything else? I mean, it's on the left-hand side of the chart.
Yeah, and this is I love this line. This red line, it's called the Chikou span. It represents current price action, time shifted 26 periods into the past. So in this instance on the 15-minute chart, it's 26 15-minute candles in the past, but it's doing exactly the same thing that current price action is, you can see.
Yeah.
But so when it interacts with the other parts of, you know, say the Chikou was up here finding resistance at the cloud, it would be finding resistance for current price action, even if current price action had nothing near it. So it's kind of like a little invisible helper. Like, you might not see the resistance over here in the current price action that the Chikou is encountering. So
I see. So it can kind of give you a little bit of a foreshadowing to what might happen in the current market.
Yeah, and I see actually a good example of it happening live right now. So is it okay if I grab one more shot to share?
And then I want to give you some time to do a commercial and show your website and how people can get in touch with you and possibly get involved with you on a business level.
All right.
In trading.
I got it. All right. Bear with me while I take a screen. I'm not very self-promotional by nature. I am very calm by nature, and that's something that people have told me my whole life. So that's not something that I needed to. Yeah.
It's a great
create
for an emotional industry. I mean, there's nothing more emotional than money to most people.
You know, I've been told that I should be like an EMT or something. You know, like I'm good in emergency.
Hypnotherapist.
You know, I've been thinking about that lately. I've been thinking about. I've been wondering if it's possible to hypnotize people out of their bad trading habits. I've been pondering that lately.
Sure, you plant a new paradigm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know enough about hypnotherapy or anything like that, but it sounds sort of interesting to me. All right, I'm putting up the ES. Do you see the ES chart?
Yeah, it's rallying with the yen right now. Okay, so we're in the chart.
The yen is rallying.
In the middle of a cloud. Okay.
Right. You know, if I don't have the yen up on my screen right now, but the correlations have just been bizarre lately. Like
Yeah, very
this,
tight.
you know, the ES and like Treasury bonds and the dollar all
Yes.
rallying at the same time. That is just strange. But so the example that I want to make about the Chicow is you see the red line here. The Chicow is right under the cloud. When the Chicow came up and touched the cloud, the ES started putting in this topping tail here. So
Wow.
even
So
though
it's
the
kind
ES,
of like
this
it's your
current
leading
15-minute,
it's your leading
yeah,
indicator for Ichimoku. Okay.
I mean, technically it's not. The leading indicator about Ichimoku actually is the cloud in front of price action. The
All
cloud
right.
is drawn out for 26 periods into the future. So there's not many forms of technical analysis where you can see 26 periods into the future. So, I mean,
That is valuable.
yeah,
Okay.
especially on a weekly time frame, it's, you know, it's super valuable because you can see things. I mean, I've been, you know, when I do my weekly analysis videos, which are free, by the way, to everyone, I just give those away. I give most of my stuff away for free, but you know, you can see stuff into next year. You can see the configuration of the clouds. So regarding my advertising, I have a special going on right now that I decided to offer just for listeners here and for other folks that want to get involved with my my chat room. I'm offering my chat room for $99 a month currently. It's normally $149 a month. So if people want to sign up from now until the end of October, they can do so. And let me go back to
website.
I think that there's not really much point in showing my website. I'll just go back to my original screen share with my website address so people can see that. My website is just cloudchartist.com. I mean, pretty easy to remember if you can remember my ticker handle, my Twitter handle. But the offer's up there, and there's information about what I offer. But I really offer personalized attention, so I can help people out on any level that they're at with trading or with learning Ichimoku. And in my chat room, I also have some really experienced traders in there, so we get some really good idea sharing in the room as well. And just everybody in there is funny, nice, calm, cool.
Isn't it great to have a community? Isn't it great to have a community? I mean, I'm a big believer in social trading, and the law of attraction attracts people that want to help others and pay it forward. And yeah, it's an edge because we only have two eyes, right, Melissa?
Well, the reason that I even started the chat room was because Twitter was not really working for me anymore. It became and I started. I really learned a lot from joining StockTwits in 2009. That was really amazing for me, and I got to give a hat tip to the person that I initially learned Ichimoku from, who is at Ichimoku Charts. His website is, his name is Larry, I don't know if I can pronounce his last name, I hope he forgives me, Larry Lovrenich. He's an Australian guy. His website is ichimokucharts.co. He also has a service where he does, he provides videos, but he doesn't have a chat room. So he does daily videos on a variety of different products, and his service is it's like $89 a month or something like that. It's very affordable, totally worth it if you want to learn Ichimoku. But he was producing videos and posting them on StockTwits, you know, back in the day, and that's how I initially got into Ichimoku, was and learned the initial, you know, initial stuff about it from his free videos. So I'm very grateful to him for doing that. But he doesn't have a chat room.
Melissa.
So, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm grateful that you came and spoke to us today, and appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. And wish you nothing but pips raining down on you the rest of the fall trading season, and
Thank
perhaps we could do this again down the road. Want to thank you again for sharing your most precious currency, which is time. You know, pips come
Thank
and
you very
go.
much.
Time is gone forever. Thanks for sharing your time with us today, Melissa.
Oh, you're welcome. You made it a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Good hunting. My trading warrior.
Thank you.
You're my trading warrior sister now. Like it or not, Melissa.
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
All right.
All right,
Take
back to
care.
my chat room.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
Good hunting, Melissa. Thank you again.
Thanks. Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing Melissa. You like the word foreshadowing? Oh, I'm sorry, Chi-Town. I didn't see it in time. I hope everyone enjoyed Melissa. The yen, we have 2 drives here now, guys. I'm looking for a 3rd drive up in the yen this week. I don't know if it's going to be because of the Fed or because of the BOJ on Friday, but I'm looking for one more push to 122. Give me a Y if you enjoyed Melissa. Give me a K if you enjoyed Clever. Give me an M and a K if you enjoyed both. Let's see what you have here, Chi-Town. What do you got? Why isn't it letting me show it? Here we go. Okay, so Chi-Town also uses Ichimoku. Rallying, this is a Euro USD. Okay. Maybe back to the cloud here. And here's her thing right here. So according to this, it could get back to this. Thank you, Chi-Town. And thank Chi-Town for his Euro look using clouds. Hey, you, get off of my cloud. Hey, Chi-Town. Hey, you, get off of my cloud. Don't hang around. So we had a nice day of interviews, huh? Pound popped with a tail. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't see it in time. I don't know if I could have showed it to her anyway. So EG is still heading down. I don't think you look at the long side of Euro till we get to 71, 70.50. Hello, Khalid. You're here, Khalid. We should be setting up this last push in Aussie yen up here too. Euro yen. And we're going to get the rally in Euro yen. Hey, Tico. And the guppies coming out of here too, I think, for one more high. All right, everyone, here's my wrap up. Euro USD, I think you have to be patient for lower levels. I like the level that Clever gave us around 108.5. I have some trend lines coming in around 120. Still think the pound still may have some upside. Can't rule out a 61.8 retracement. That would be 152.50. Another 100 lower would be 61.8 back. I am laying for a short in US dollar yen. Here's drive 1, here's drive 2. I think another one can manifest, especially if Clever's right about 2100 or 2120 S&Ps. And I'm not sure that Canada has topped yet. I still think we could trade 133. And that's a wrap for me. So I want to thank everyone for their contributions today. DFS Brigham, welcome to our community. And we thank everyone individually. Chi-Town, Alex in Florida, welcome to LAR. Goldie, Tico, DFS Brigham, welcome to LAR. Khalid, thank you. Fab, Doji, Fame, Bedrin, thank you. Ali, Clever, thank you for your interview today. Jax, thank you. Pegasus, Alien, Forex Stop Hunter, thank you. MRC, John, Sakid, David, Suji, everyone, and see everyone tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to turn in to see Yohei for the London opening and all the great programming that Mauricio has put together for everyone. That this is going to be a 24-hour channel. If LAR is helping you, consider supporting our sponsor, and that's FX Pro. If LAR is helping you out, establish an account with FX Pro and tell them Dale sent you. So until that time, my friends, I'll see everyone tomorrow. You're welcome, Chi-Town. You're welcome, Planet. Ali likes the 108-43 number. Thank you, Adinda. Thank you, Adinda, for doing a great job today with 2 interviews. Everyone thank Adinda, who's now handling everything for us, getting the links to our guests and putting up a sign when I need a 5-minute break. Everyone thank Adinda. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. See you, Sir Veteran. Snaga, buddy. Adios. Thank you, Adinda.